Hi, boys and girls. Welcome back to Storytime. My name is Miss Felicia, and I am so happy you can join us this week for Storytime. This week, we're going to be reading a really special story to me. I used to read this story with my mom all the time when I was a kid, and it just warmed my heart. This story is about a young mouse and her journey understanding that sometimes people are not going to like your differences, but you have to understand that you're special too. And her mom and dad, they chose to give her a really, really special name. And sometimes her friends just didn't understand why her name was so special, and they would make fun of her. But her mom and dad made sure to remind her that that name was picked because she is perfect. And that was the perfect name for her. Does anybody else have a very special name? What about you? Do you have a special name? I bet you do. I'm sure each and every one of you watching this has a special name that your mom and dad picked perfectly for you. So let's dive into our story. This is chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum is a flower. You guys see the flower on the front of the book? That's a chrysanthemum. You guys might see some chrysanthemums in your gardens or in other people's gardens when you guys go on drives. Their nickname is called mums, and they're native to East Asia. They're super pretty flowers. So let's dive into our story. The day she was born was the happiest day in her parents' lives. She's perfect, said her mother. Absolutely, said her father. And she was. She was absolutely perfect. Look at that cute little mouse. She's absolutely perfect, right? With her little tiny red nose, those little tiny hands. I bet when you guys were born, your parents looked at you and said, oh my goodness, they're absolutely perfect. Her name must be everything she is, said her mother. Her name must be absolutely perfect, said her father. And it was Chrysanthemum. Her parents named her Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum grew and grew and grew. And when she was old enough to appreciate it, Chrysanthemum loved her name. Can everybody say Chrysanthemum? That's a really special name, right? And it's a long name. It's got a lot of letters in it. But she grew up to love her name. Can you say chrysanthemum? Look, chrysanthemum as a baby. And then she looks like she's about 1 here. And then she's a toddler learning how to walk. She's going down the slide. Oh, yep. And she's riding her bike. Who else here has a special tricycle that they love to ride? You do? And she's playing in the bathtub. And now, this last picture, she's all grown up. She loved the way it sounded when her mother woke her up. She loved the way it sounded when her father called her for dinner. And she loved the way it sounded when she whispered it to herself in the bathroom mirror. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum loved the way her name looked when it was written with ink on an envelope. She loved the way it looked when it was written with icing on her birthday cake. Ooh, who loves seeing their names on birthday cakes? I know I do. When I was a kid, I used to always save that piece for last because it was the most special piece because it had my name on it. Does anybody else do that? Save their name just for them? Aha, I knew you did. And she loved the way it looked when she wrote it herself with her fat orange crayon. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Can you guys say that with me? Chrysanthemum. See, look, it's written everywhere. Whoa, that's a really big cake. She's got a lot of letters in her name. Maybe at the end of the book, we can count all the letters in her name. Chrysanthemum thought her name was absolutely perfect, and then she started school. On the first day, Chrysanthemum wore her sunniest dress and her brightest smile. She ran all the way. Hooray! Said Chrysanthemum. School! Who gets super excited to go to school? I bet some of you guys are really excited to go back to school in September. Well, hopefully we'll all get to go back to our schools and see our friends, right? But when Mrs. Chud took roll call, everyone giggled upon hearing Chrysanthemum's name. So here's Mrs. Chud, that's the teacher, and she's going to call everybody's name. Eve, are you here? Bill, are you here? Joe, Sam, Victoria, and then Chrysanthemum. But everybody has really simple names, right? Bill, Joe, Sam, Tom, Jay. Those are all really, really simple names, but they're special for them. But Chrysanthemum's name is super long, and the kids they didn't understand. So they laughed because it was different, and they didn't ever hear a name like that before, right? But it's not nice to laugh at somebody just because they're different. It's so long, said Joe. It scarcely fits on her name tag, said Rita, pointing. I'm named after my grandmother, said Victoria. You're named after a flower. Chrysanthemum wilted. Can everybody wilt like a flower? You just go, flowers are bright like this, and then they wilt. If they're super sad, or if they're not getting enough sun. And Chrysanthemum, she's not getting enough sun because she's not getting enough love from her friends. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. Oh no. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and informed Mrs. Chud that Chrysanthemum's name was spelled with 13 letters. So we don't have to count that. 13 letters. That's exactly half as many letters as there are in the entire alphabet, Victoria explained. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chud. Now put your head down. Victoria is not being very nice, right? And what do we say to people who are treating our friends not nicely? We tell them to stop. Choose nice words. Chrysanthemum was very sad. If I had a name like yours, I'd change it, Victoria said, as the students lined up to go home. I wish I could, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Oh, Chrysanthemum's so sad. She was really excited for school, and this girl Victoria just ruined her day. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. My name is too long. It scarcely fits on my name tag, and I'm named after a flower. Oh, pish, said her mother. Your name is beautiful and precious and priceless and fascinating and winsome, said her father. It's everything you are, said her mother. Absolutely perfect, said her father. To see her parents are reminding her that your name is absolutely perfect. And don't let anybody ever tell you that it's not. Chrysanthemum felt much better after her favorite dinner, macaroni and cheese with ketchup. Mmm, yummy. And an evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. Who's ever played parcheesi? Have you? That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that her name was Jane. It was an extremely pleasant dream. Oh, wow. Chrysanthemum is dreaming that she has a different name. But we don't want to change her name, do we? Do you think she should change her name? You don't? Right, because it's special. The next morning, Chrysanthemum wore her most comfortable jumper. She walked to school as slowly as she could. She dragged her feet in the dirt. Chrysanthemum, 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 she wrote. She even looks like a flower, said Victoria as Chrysanthemum entered the playground. Let's pick her, said Rita, pointing. Let's smell her, said Joe. Chrysanthemum wilted. Can you guys wilt for me? We're all flowers wilting. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. These girls are not being very nice. How are we going to deal with that? What is Chrysanthemum going to do? They're making fun of her name because she's named after a flower, but flowers are beautiful, right? The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and said, a chrysanthemum is a flower. It lives in a garden with worms and other dirty things. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chudd. Now put your head down. I just cannot believe your name, Victoria said, as as the students lined up to go home. Neither can I, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Why does Victoria keep picking on her? Have you guys ever been picked on at school? Well, you know what? If you've ever been picked on at school, you stand up to those people that pick on you and you say, I'm perfect and I'm special and you can't make me think otherwise. Well, let's see what Chrysanthemum's going to do. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. They said I even look like a flower. They pretended to pick me and to smell me. Oh, pish, said her mother. They're just jealous and envious and begrudging and discontented and jaundiced. Oh, wow, said her father. Who wouldn't be jealous of a name like yours? Her mother said. After all, it's absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum felt a trifle better after her favorite dessert, chocolate cake with buttercream frosting. Ooh, that's delicious. And another evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. So did you hear what her parents told her? Those friends are just jealous. They don't know what they're talking about. They just don't understand the name Chrysanthemum, and they would love to have a beautiful, special name like hers. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that she was really a chrysanthemum. She spouted leaves and petals. Victoria picked her and plucked the leaves and petals one by one until there was nothing left but a scrawny stem. It was the worst nightmare of Chrysanthemum's life. Chrysanthemum wore her outfit with 7 pockets the next morning. She loaded the pockets with her most prized possession and her good luck charms. Chrysanthemum took the longest route possible to school. She stopped and stared at each and every flower. Chrysanthemum, 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 the flowers seemed to say. Oh, it's a rainy day too. So Chrysanthemum is deciding to take all her good luck charms to school. Maybe they'll make today a little better, right? Let's see. That morning, the students were introduced to Mrs. Twinkle, the music teacher. Her voice was like something out of a dream, as was everything else about her. The students were speechless. They thought Mrs. Twinkle was an indescribable wonder. They went out of their way to make a nice impression. Mrs. Twinkle led the students in scales. Then she assigned roles for the class musical. Victoria was chosen to be the dainty fairy queen. Rita was chosen to be the spiffy butterfly princess. Jo was chosen as the all-important pixie messenger. And Chrysanthemum was chosen as a daisy. So Chrysanthemum was chosen to be a flower. Isn't that just perfect? Her name is a flower and she's chosen to be a beautiful flower. Do you guys see? That's Miss Twinkle. Miss Twinkle has a big round belly. She has a baby in that belly. Chrysanthemum's a daisy. Chrysanthemum's a daisy. Jo, Rita, and Victoria chanted, thinking it was wildly funny. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. What's so humorous? Asked Miss Twinkle. Chrysanthemum was the answer. Her name is so long, said Jo. It scarcely fits on her name tag, said Rita, pointing. I'm named after my grandmother, said Victoria. She's named after a flower. So, Miss Twinkle wants to understand why they're making fun of her. And let's find out what Miss Twinkle says. My name is long, said Miss Twinkle. It is, said Jo. My name would scarcely fit on my name tag, said Mrs. Twinkle. It would, said Rita, pointing. And, said Mrs. Twinkle, I'm named after a flower too. Yes, you are, said Victoria. Yes, said Miss Twinkle. My name is Delphinium. Delphinium Twinkle. And if my baby is a girl, I'm considering Chrysanthemum as her name. I think it's absolutely perfect. Chrysanthemum could scarcely believe her ears. She blushed, she beamed, she bloomed. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. She didn't know that anybody else had a really unique name like her. She didn't know that there could be anybody so amazing as Miss Twinkle that had a name just like a flower. And isn't it interesting? All the kids loved Miss Twinkle for who she was, not because they knew her name and they thought her name was super special. They loved her because she was amazing at what she did, right? So it's very good not to judge a person because of their name or something that makes them different. So Miss Twinkle pointed out that, oh, you guys love me so much, but my name is just like Chrysanthemum. It's long, it barely fits on a name tag, and I'm named after a flower too. Jo, Rita, and Victoria looked at Chrysanthemum longingly. Call me Marigold, said Jo. I'm Carnation, said Rita, pointing. And my name is Lily of the Valley, said Victoria. Chrysanthemum did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She knew it. So look at that. Now all the girls in school want to be named after flowers because they realize that it's super cool to have a name that's super unique and a name that's just like a flower. But it took them meeting somebody that was different and what they thought was amazing to realize. The end. Wasn't that an awesome book, everyone? So remember, you have to be nice to your friends in school. And just because somebody might be a little different from you doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them. And that doesn't make it okay to make fun of them and hurt their feelings. Like the book Chrysanthemum, when those friends talked about her and hurt her feelings, that hurt her self confidence. That hurt her on the inside. And it made her wilt like a flower. And we want to make our friends bloom. We want to lift people up and make sure that they feel special. Well, I'm really glad that you guys were able to join me for story time. And so until next week, bye, friends. Have a wonderful weekend.